Hey folks, welcome back to part 29 of manual testing series. In this video, let's talk about there are certain difference between defect, error, fault and failure. So all these terms refer to some different what I can say is some different things it refers to. So in this video, let's talk about it. Let's get started. What is a bug or defect? Bug and defect are almost similar. So, but a quite difference is in software testing, a bug is an formal name of defects. That's it, which means that software or application is not working as per the requirement. Basically, if there is a deviation from the expected result, then it is called as or termed as bug or defect. When we have some coding error, leads a program to break, okay, to breakdown, which is also known as bug or defect if there is any coding defect, okay, so which is not working as per our expectation, our in the sense the required expectation requirement will be given as per that we will be testing it. So if there is any coding issue, then at that time it causes the defect. We can also say it as deviation from the nation. There are certain reasons for the bugs to what are the, let's see. One is missing coding, wrong coding, or extra coding. There could be chances like the code or the logic written can be some things might be missing. Because of that as well, the issue will be occurred, which is known as bug. Or sometimes wrong coding, wrong requirement has been implemented. Okay, that time also it leads to defect. And extra coding, whichever is not required, but the developer puts some extra logic. Okay, all these are the reason for the cause of the defect. But one thing you have to keep in mind is the application should work as per the requirement. So that is the main agenda here. If there is any deviation, that leads to defect. So then there is a quite difference for this error as well. So error, let's talk about error now. Problem in code leads to errors, which means that a mistake can occur due to the developer's coding error or as the developer misunderstood the requirement or the requirement was not defined correctly. Then we use the term called error. Okay, there is a mistake. Coding is done, but there is some mistake. Okay, so which leads to the error. So basically, when you are storing something to the database, okay, there is not the proper way of storing is done. Okay, on UI, not show up. Okay, but when you see in the database, there is a difference. Okay, that time you can term it as error. Okay, so might not be. It is not always like UI having the issues. Issues can occur even from the API perspective or from the uh, you know database perspective as well. Errors are generated due to long logic, syntax, or loop that can impact the end user experience. Okay. Um, Different types of errors can occur. It is not specific to UI or API or database, right? So basically, there could be some wrong logic which has been implemented, which is leading to the error, or there is some syntax issues, and there are some loop. Whenever, suppose say that when the uh, s- uh, let's say a particular field should accept the value which is 100, okay, maximum, but the condition or the validation has not been done in the UI. So when the loop runs, say there is a loop which will execute like for 100 times, okay, as per 100 also it's continuously executes, which leads to the error with here the loop, uh, that particular condition is missed. Because of that, here the end user is getting impacted. So it leads to the infinite loop. Okay? It is calculated by differentiating between the expected results and the actual results. It rises due to several reasons like design issues, coding issues, or system specification issues, and leads to issues in the application. Okay. So next, let's talk about fault. What is this fault then? We saw like what is defect or bug. We saw what is error. Now let's talk about a fault. Fault may occur in software because it has not added the code for fault tolerance, making an application act up. Sometimes all the logic, everything is written properly or not, all that needs to be reviewed. Okay. A fault may happen in program because of the following reasons. One is lack of resources, which means that the knowledgeable resources might not be present in the team. Invalid step that has been taken, which leads to the fault. Appropriate data definition. So all these are the reason for the fault. Okay. This is an undesirable situation, but it mainly happens due to invalid documented steps or a lack of data definitions. When a team is not properly knowledgeable to put up all the situations and consider all the situations and code, it might lead to the fault. A minor fault in some cases may lead to high-end error, even though there is a smallest of smallest error, high-end minor error. It can be a minor error. It can lead to the big error also, big fault. There are several ways to prevent faults, like adapting programming techniques, development methodologies, peer review, and code analysis. All these are very important steps. Okay, because in any of these things also we can make sure that we are not getting into the fault. For example, there is a user who is using the application and he stopped using the uh, account for some days. Okay, and then another user comes and takes the username of the same user before previously used user, and now what happens is this system merged the account of the another user to this user, which is another big fault. Okay, so which should not happen in real. Okay, which lead to the fault. So those things needs to be taken care. What is failure then? Okay, failure is quite different. Many defects lead to software's failure, which means that a law specifies a fatal issue in software or application or in its module, which makes the system unresponsive or broken. Okay, failure is something, there are multiple issues which cause the reason for the failure. For example, you might have seen the hardware failures or software failures. Sometimes all of a sudden you see a crash in applications. Suppose say in general WhatsApp or any of the application, it just starts unresponsive. It doesn't respond sometimes because there could be some issue. Okay, you feel that okay, there could be some issue, that's why it is not working. Then they will fix it. Okay, that situation you might have encountered. Okay, so which is called as a failure basically. In other words, we can say if an end user detects an issue in the product, then the particular issue is called as failure. Possibilities are one defect that might lead to one failure or several failures. There could be one missed small defect which leads to the failure. So be careful while testing it. Failure can happen due to human errors or can also be caused intentionally in the system by an individual. Okay, so basically majorly we can say that it is due to the human error which leads to the failure. So this is how the combination looks like. If there is any error or mistake which leads to the defect or fault or bug, defect and bug are same, so you can say that defect or fault, okay, or bug it leads to. And if there is any defect which leads to the failure. So this is how you can think of. Hope you got the difference between defect and then error and then failure and then fault. If you have liked this video, please do like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.